Well, Jim, we have the one and only Star Maker on the line right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, he has been given this platform to speak today on the Jim Cornette Experience purely on the merits of the fact that for once in his miserable life, he's actually going to do something to benefit someone else this weekend, Saturday, April 29th at the Golden Corral on Taylorsville Road right here in the Derby city of Louisville, Kentucky. It's my Buffet with Bolin 2. Featuring as special guest, I'm there, Jim Cornette, and the folks who come and pay the admission price are going to not only get a buffet, and they're not only going to get 3 hours of personal stories from me and Kenny, well, stories in person and personal stories from me and old Star Maker, but also at least some of the money, according to what Bolin says, we're going to independently verify this, is going to the Camp Corral for kids. We're going to hear more about that. But ladies and gentlemen, he is the first time I've been able to introduce him on this program as such, the WWE Hall of Fame mentionee, Kenny Star Maker Bolin. Welcome to the experience.
What a lovely introduction. Lovely introduction. I can't tell you how life-changing that my name being mentioned at the WWE Hall of Fame, what it's done for me, what it's done for others. I mean, good Lord. You've heard of a thing called the rub, right, Jimmy?
Who others has your name being mentioned benefited?
Well, apparently everybody. Everybody in podcasting, because everybody knows what you did. What you did is that you mentioned my name to get a pop. You knew that if you brought up the name of the old Star Maker, that was going to get a reaction. That was because everybody in that building knows me. Either they've dealt with me, they've bought my merchandise, they've maybe offended me one day down the path of my success. But you know that every single person in that building I've had a personal relationship with. Excuse me?
They've managed to submerge past you and your personality at one time or another.
Oh, exactly. And which is really weird. Just a little old humble guy from LaGrange, Kentucky, who hardly ever left the state to be worldwide known the way I am. And I know what you were doing. You thought you were doing me a favor, but what you actually did is you did you a favor. Because by mentioning my name, did you see the Twitter light up? Did you see the Facebook light up?
There was significant activity amongst the Twitterers and the Facebookers.
You were the talk of the town, and of course myself. And you could have mentioned anybody, but right off the top, you said, let me get them while I got their attention.
Well, you know what?
Just in case I put them to sleep later, let me get them while I got their attention.
They told me also that's the professional writers that they have, and thank God that they have professional writers now.
Who?
Because I would have been at a loss of what to say if not for that.
Who did he think?
They told me the first thing they'd say is hook them at the top.
Yeah.
And then also they say they said the one thing about the Hall of Fame speeches we've tried to impress on all the major stars that have been up here, from the Rocks and the celebrities and the Austins and etc., is pick the right mentionee.
Yeah. Well,
when you're gonna name drop a childhood friend or a close confidant, you got to pick the right mentionee, and that makes the speech.
That, my friend, is where you nailed it. I mean, everybody said you nailed your speech, and I think in a roundabout way.
There was a lot of talk in that.
In a roundabout way, I think people were saying, man, when he mentioned Bolin, he had them where he wanted them. And I agree with you. You got my attention. I'd been dozing off through that whole damn thing until you got up there, and then all of a sudden I hear my name. Perked me up, so I can imagine what it did to everybody else.
Well, everybody else said they threw the babies in the air. They were at a fever pitch.
You know what? But I didn't get the angle. I saw the camera pull back when you mentioned my name, and I saw the smile on Chris Jericho's face. I saw the smirk on John Cena's face. I saw a lot of different reactions when my name was mentioned. How high did the babies go? Because I couldn't see.
Actually, the babies were so high in the air they had
the high roof.
They had the arched roof, but also they had soccer nets. They had soccer nets around the lower part of the bowl to catch the babies.
That's just common sense right there. You gotta have soccer nets and little babies. So, but not only did the stunt you pulled, which was genius.
I'll admit it was a publicity stunt to mention your name. I'll go ahead and admit
it was genius.
I was wanting to hit TMZ. Right, Brian? Because Swifty Flanagan told me that, Brian.
Swifty told you that?
Get on. I'm talking to Brian now.
Oh, excuse me.
Swifty said, get on TMZ. That's another thing. You try to knock Swifty, Brian.
Paige got on TMZ.
Would you let Brian speak?
No. I was about to say, right. Well, what I was going to say was, Paige got on TMZ.
Yeah. See, me and Brian in total agreement there. Paige was on TMZ a lot. She was even on the sports edition for some reason.
I just realized.
I guess that is kind of an athletic event, what Paige was doing.
Oh, for heaven's sake. Look out now. I thought you were talking about Diamond Dallas.
No, I don't. Well, Diamond apparently likes her, and maybe for good reason. I don't know why DDP likes Paige. That's a story.
We're on a different page, and
and a different DP.
No, there weren't too many people on a different page. They were all on the same page. I made a funny. That's Foghorn Leghorn material right there. We were all on. Did you get it, Brian? We were all on the same page.
Yeah, that's a good one, Kenny.
That ain't bad.
We're supposed to be talking about the children, the camp.
I had honestly not really planned on bringing up Paige's name. Y'all led me into that one.
I didn't lead you into anything. I'm trying to get you away from it.
And who was that referee that was seen there doing horrible things at the championship belt? He used to be with us at OVW. What was his name?
Earl Hebner.
No, Hebner didn't do anything with Paige, I don't think.
What are you?
I mean, he might have been the only one that didn't. I don't know. Hell, who am I? What am I to say?
All right, look, what I was trying to see when you kept droning on about how I did a cheap stunt to mention the Hall of Fame, when I was trying to ask you about what we led into the program with. Is this weekend my buffet for Bolin 2 and explain how that some of the Camp Corral kids are going to get a cut of this?
I'm going to talk about that. But before we do, I got to cover the rest of the story. The rest of the story is that you taught the people in the wrestling business a valuable lesson. If you want to get ratings, if you want everybody to talk about you, if you want to light Twitter up, mention the name Kenny Bolin. And I'll be damned if every major podcast, every big deal out there wasn't mentioning me on their show the following 2 weeks after you did. And just this week alone, Jerry the King Lawler, he's mentioned me on a couple of his shows.
What are you now, a professional mentionee?
I think I am. I think that's going to have to be. I got to start getting paid for this. You got to cut me a check because Lawler mentioned me. Oh, my God, my dear, dear friend, Chris Jericho. He plugged you, too. He's demanded that you and I come to his concert in Louisville, Kentucky on May the 13th, and I spoke for you. I'm sorry, May the 10th. May 10th, May 13th, you're booked elsewhere.
No, I know where I'm booked. I know where I'm booked, you idiot. Yes, Chris Fozzy is playing here in Louisville on May 10th. And he has invited us.
Well, I spoke up for it. I told him
you're not riding with me.
Oh, sure I am. There ain't no sense. I mean, you and I believe in science. We're not going to pollute the air with a big Cadillac and that big hunk of whatever it is you drive, at fucking Green tanker.
I'm not going to pollute my brain with you having to ride with me and me having to fucking cater to you.
I don't have to ride with you. I've offered to do it to save money on gas
and park in all the handicap spots.
I got my little handicap thing. I can get you right in there. You have
a goddamn lick of identification. You just think it's okay. I got it at home, and you get out and dare anybody to do anything about it.
Do you really think I need identification in the city of Louisville, Kentucky, especially at Trixie's? Come on, Jimmy.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
I'll walk us right into the front row in that thing. Don't you worry about it.
At Trixie's, when you get a lap dance at Trixie's, do they charge you double?
Not me. Maybe others, but not me.
I don't think that would register.
So Chris Jericho mentioned me not once, but twice on the interview that he did with Rico, and really tugged at my heart because Rico was telling a loving story about me. And he gets to the end. He says, yep, even Kenny Bolin taught me a lot. And here's how Jericho said it. He said, the Star Maker, just like in just absolute admiration of me. But he saw what it did to you. He was sitting in the front row and you did it. So Jericho's no fool. He learns.
So now you are evaluating people's opinions of you by the phrasing they use when they mention your name.
Well, some say it with a bit of a sour taste in their mouth and a little negative connotation. And there's others that say it with love and admiration. And I got to put Jericho into love and admiration category. And And I know you don't like this guy, but I hear, what do you call him? Voldemort, or what's the name you have for him?
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, he mentioned me on his podcast, and let me think of some others. There's a lot of them that did it. Let's see, Jericho, Lawler.
Shitstain mentioning your name. That could be.
Do we really got to call him Shitstain?
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, Fart Stench.
Yeah, that's better.
Mentioning your name
Yeah.
could be the ultimate obscenity that would bring the Antichrist back to life on Earth.
Yeah, well, help me out. You saw all the Twitter buzz. So we had Jericho, we had Lawler.
I don't know who the fuck has mentioned your name in the last.
Yeah, you do. There's a lot of, there's a big podcast out there, and some of them get millions of downloads.
Well, there's so many names running through your head right now.
Yeah. Who can you?
Otis Sistrunk.
No, Otis Sistrunk played for the Oakland Raiders.
No, it was Ernie Holmes.
He went to the University of Mars. Ernie Holmes. No, that was the guy you got an autograph from that had the 13-inch penis.
That was John Holmes.
On his deathbed, you shook hands with him, or at least you thought it was his hand.
Well, I was still trying to give you the opportunity to plug this fine charitable endeavor that you're involved with this weekend that I'm going to be a part of.
I can't think of that damn podcast out there that gets 6 million downloads a week that mention me. I can't come up with it. All right. Well, the basic thing, everybody's dropping my name. So let's get to the little tykes. Let's go
ahead and get to the
what are we doing for the little tykes, Jimmy? You want me to talk about it?
Yes, that's what I've been asking you for the past 15 minutes.
I guess who better to tell the tale? Now, we did this 11 months practically to the day last year. I think May the 29th. This year we're going, I can't remember. It's close.
It was a goddamn rib, is whatever it was.
Where it was a rib.
You got sick, and I had to do the whole show and entertain the folks with no.
No, I was there for a little bit of it, and the Prince was there for 10 or 12%.
Well, and mentally, you were there for about fucking 2% of it.
I was going to say about 14% combined. I think the Prince and I added to that show, and you seemed to really be having a good time. You really said my name a lot that day, but you know what keeps the room's attention. So here's what we're going to do. We're going back. You really screwed the title up, though. It's My Buffet with Bolin Part 2, and you left out the most important part. Bolin Strikes Back.
Oh,
Bolin Strikes Back because I was sick. I was on my deathbed. I should have been in a hospital. A lesser man would have. But I sat there, I put up with it. The 3 hours was up. I wanted to go, but oh no, Jimmy wanted to go overtime. And I think we went 2 hours over. We didn't go 2 hours over, but we went overtime because some of the people had legitimately driven from Florida, from the panhandle of Florida. Yep.
We had people from over the tri-state area, whether it be Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky. People came up from Tennessee,
West Virginia. Had some people there from West Virginia.
So it was a gathering. And
have you heard about where they're coming from this year? Have you seen the guest list? Have you seen?
I know. Obviously
we have people coming.
Are in your hands.
Listen to this. We have people coming from Las Vegas, flying in here. As a matter of fact, they're doing Thursday. They're coming in making a 3-day extravaganza of it. As a matter of fact, this person has invited me and you to dinner. Should I say the name, or you think everybody will show up?
Well, don't.
Yeah, better not. I better not drop the name. Yeah, I don't want a big. Don't want a big crowd.
You don't want to be involved in it.
No, I don't want all the paparazzi out there and us having to fight our way into the damn place just to get a meal. So let's not do that. He's flying in from Vegas. We've got 3 coming in from Connecticut. Have prepaid their tickets. I mean, if they don't come, that's their fault.
Wait a minute. Are their names Vince, Stephanie, and Paul?
How the fuck do you know that?
What
a guess. Wow. Could have been anybody.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Vince, Stephanie, and Paul are coming down from Connecticut. And as a matter of fact, time's supposed to be a little tough on Vince, Stephanie, and Paul because they are renting the Prince's condo over off Cherokee Road over in the east side of Louisville in the Highlands. Times are a little tough. They said that all the major hotels were booked up, obviously, to come in and see me and you. And they're renting my son's condo. Yeah.
That's. I didn't know we'd sold the hotels out in Louisville.
Yeah, the hotel. Now the event, we still got about 6 tickets left, but the hotels are sold out.
Oh, so if you want it, you've got to make a day out of it. Come in and go back home in the same day.
I think a lot of people are doing like we used to do in the days of the Louisville Gardens. They say, well, I can just walk up and get a ticket day of the show. And I think there's going to be a lot of sad people. It's going to be like in the days of OVW when we only held 550. and 750 would show up wanting to get in. And I think it's going to be much what's going to happen at the Golden Corral there at Taylorsville Road this week. Is a lot of people are going to be sent home disappointed because there just ain't going to be room. And that's why you should have got your tickets early. I told them we were expecting an all-time record-breaking crowd. Get your tickets early.
And somewhere in this, I believe a question I asked about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, you mentioned something
was the explain how the Camp Corral kids get a cut into this.
Well, a lot of people thinking I'm making a sackload of money off this, and I think you're one of the ones that feels that way, but it's not exactly.
Well, I've had my suspicions.
Well, number one, this is a double header. We're helping two very needy causes right here. We're helping the Camp Corral kids, and we're also helping Kenny Bolin. What? Why would you laugh at that? God damn. This is a serious thing here. I've been trying to have a little fun with you here. Now I get into the serious part of it, and you start heckling and jeckling over there. Now calm down.
I was distracted.
Yeah, slightly. We're helping the Camp Corral kids, and we're helping the Bolin Foundation, which raises money to help various things going on in the Bolin household.
The life of Kenny Bolin.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to give me more of a life. No one wants me to leave early, including you. And I now have medications and bills that have to be covered from all my various stays in the hospital. I have $300 worth a month of prescriptions that I used not to have, and they're there now.
I'm just saying it's wonderful that you administrate the running of your own foundation, because you, at least that way, you know that nobody will steal money from you.
No, I'd love to turn that over to the Prince or maybe Mayara.
I don't think you ought to do that.
Or maybe even you, but no, that's okay. I'll allocate the dollars of the Bolin Foundation. Thank you. And I'll take care of each and every penny as I've always done. And it's not an easy job, but I do the best I can.
So why don't we talk about the
25%, though, going to the tykes. That gets the kids
25%.
25% of every dollar taken in that day. Plus, I got to reach my pocket.
There you go.
I also got to reach in my pocket and pay for the meals. I mean, I'd like for everybody to just come in and just wave a pass on eating, and maybe go to Wendy's across the street.
For heaven's sake!
The
meal is included. You get the buffet also.
Like a fool, I said we'd cover their goddamn meals, and I guess I'm stuck with that. I'm a man of my word, Jimmy. You know that by now.
So you get not only the obviously the wonderful Golden Corral all you can eat buffet, the literal opulence, the plethora of fine foodstuffs that are spread before you at the Golden Corral. Yeah, all your fill of those, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, steaks, shrimp.
25. They got it. Well, there you. What else is there? And then also 25% of the admission price goes to the Camp Corral kids, to which sends kids to camp, and not at Golden Corrals.
Right. But it actually, like camp. I said, I got to pull $17 out of each one of those. Has got to go to the dinners for you cretins who are coming down there.
That's part of the deal. You get to eat. You wouldn't want to listen to us on an empty stomach, would you?
So, well, probably not. But when you factor in the 25% that goes to the kids, the $17 that goes to the dinners, and then the whatever percentage is left over for me.
Well, and
I wish the hell we had a little something for you, but there just ain't anything. As a matter of fact, I'm losing money on this thing.
Well, that's why
I'm losing money.
I'm just figure then that I'm donating the 25% that goes. I'm waiving my fee in exchange for that.
Well, that's mighty
servicing.
Nice. I'll use the word nice of you. Mighty nice of you.
Well, see, because I'm trying to help.
Yeah.
Trying to be positive here.
Well, why don't you do like I've done? I've donated over $1,000 worth of merchandise that's going to be auctioned off for the kids. Would you like to match that donation as well?
I'd like to see the $1,000. I'd like to see the valuation of the $1,000 of your merchandise.
I beg your pardon. I signed 4 books for them.
Yeah, well, I'll match you item for item.
Item for item? Oh, well, you got
not valuation.
You got to factor in the value though, because I'm a WWE Hall of Fame mentionee.
Well, I
have the ring to prove it. By the way, I got my ring.
You've got to wait a minute. Have a Hall of Fame mentionee ring?
Of course. Why don't you have? Well, you were just an inductor, so you probably didn't get a ring. Yeah, no, I got it.
They didn't give us any.
I'll have it. As a matter of fact, here's something I'm going to do. I'm going to have a raffle at the, what are we doing? The Camp Corral thing. Yeah. we're going to have a raffle.
Oh, for God's sake.
$5 a ticket. I got my raffle tickets. I bought them the other day. And what we're going to do is we're going to raffle off. Some lucky winner is going to win a set of Beats, a book. What else I got? T-shirt, and a DVD. All autographed by me and you if they want. If they don't want your autograph, I'll understand. And
thank you.
We're going to raffle all that off and a separate raffle. $10.
Two raffles?
2 raffles. One, you get the big bag of prizes there, and one winner walks away with it all. Probably $1,000 worth of merch right there.
It's got to be.
I did mention I'm signing the book, right? Yeah. So it'd be about $1,000. And then the other raffle, $10 a pop. Everybody in the room. I'd like for everybody to buy a ticket. Winner gets to kiss my Hall of Fame mentionee ring right there. You can photograph it, put it on the internet. You'll probably make thousands of dollars just being seen kissing my Hall of Fame ring. Now, unlike the thing that Vince used to have you kiss, not going to do that. You can kiss my ring. I think that's much nicer, don't you?
Well,
and I'm going to donate 10% of that on top of the 25% to the kids. So there you go. 35%. If you figure the math right, is going to the little tykes.
I mean, if you figured it right, I'm sure you'd get something. So basically, there is going to be a raffle for a prize package there, and they're going to be able to get the tickets at the function.
Right.
At Bolin Strikes Back.
Absolutely. Bolin Strikes Back. Yeah, let's just shorten the title to Bolin Strikes Back.
And basically, we're using a worldwide podcast here at this point now to sell 6 tickets to the Golden Corral on Saturday afternoon on Taylorsville Road in Louisville.
Got 6 tickets left. How'd you know that? Did I mention that earlier?
So go ahead and tell them how they can buy those 6 tickets.
Well, there's only 6 tickets left. I posted that on Facebook last night. I guess your wife informed you of that because I know you're not on Facebook. 6 tickets are left. Contact my inbox. I've got sponsors.
What is your inbox? How would you tell people who have never heard of you?
Well, everybody that you knows that I'm the king of Facebook. Verified, by the way. I don't use that account much, but I am verified.
Oh,
and of course, after you mentioned me on the Hall of Fame, what happened on Twitter? Verified. Big old check mark. Big O check mark.
At Starmaker Bolin, is that what it is?
At Starmaker Bolin on Twitter. You can write my inbox there if you'd like to acquire those 6 remaining tickets, or contact me at my inbox on Facebook, and you can reach me at my verified account, which, hell, I forgot the address of that, but the other one is /Starmaker Bolin.
You know what you need now that you're so successful?
God.
And you're a worldwide celebrity, you need good representation. You need Flanagan. Swifty Flanagan should be your manager. I can hook you up.
You Swifty? Well, I'll talk with Swifty. He sounds like he's got some shit on the ball. I'll talk with Swifty.
Brian.
One other thing that's been eating at me. You want to bring Brian? I got one other thing I want to cover. Is really been eating.
Shut up a second.
Hey, I'm a mentionee, son. A little respect. Put a little respect on it, son, when you say my name.
Yes, Mr. Mentionee.
Thank you. That's got a nice ring to it.
What I was going to say was basically thank you for being on the program.
Well, no, don't thank me yet. Don't thank me yet, because I got a couple other things I want to cover. One, I told you it's been eating at me, man. Bullying. I'm sick of it. I've had it.
What?
Bullying is pissing me off, and I want to cover it right here today. Bullying is running rampant, and we all know it. I know Brian has even talked a little bit about it on the show. And here's what I want to narrow this down to.
This sounds like it's going to take a while, Brian.
Good. But bullying has really been eating away at me recently. And I know it's been eating away at Brian. And you've had your comments about it. And what I've narrowed this down to, because a lot of this has been falling on my good and dear friend, John Bradshaw Layfield. A man who I've known for many, many years, a man who's been very good to me. But yep, even at OVW, I was once bullied a little bit. But you know what I did differently, Jim? I stood up to John. I was once showing a videotape of me promoting a show that the APA was going to be the main event in. And I want you to know that he reached into that machine, thought I was marking out for myself, and he broke that cassette tape right in front of me and everybody else. And you know what he did? He said, "Kenny, you clean that up." And I looked at him and I said, "No, I didn't break it." That's what he did. This is an absolute true story, folks. Jimmy will tell you.
He's also never seen your house if he thought you were going to clean anything up, but go ahead.
He's been to my house. I'll get into that later. So weeks go by and the tape is still on the floor. And 7, you remember 7. So now he's instigating it. He's trying to cause trouble. Kenny, you better get in there and clean it up because Layfield's pissed. He's going to beat your ass. I said, well, I guess he's going to have to attempt to do that because I'm not cleaning it up. You see what I'm doing here, Jimmy? I'm standing up to John Bradshaw Layfield.
I remember the incident, yes.
So it finally comes to a head, and it looks like it's going to come to a fight. And I remember gathering all the boys in the locker room, and I think you were in there. Danny Davis was there, and I said, boys, looks like it's going to come down to a fight between me and John Bradshaw Layfield over this goddamn tape incident. But I tell you what, I would be an absolute fool to fight John Bradshaw Layfield. I'd be an idiot. It would be suicide. Career suicide.
I dispute the fact that you announced this in front of the entire crew, and
you
we're on network
it if you like,
and we're on network television.
And I remember it like I remember it like I made it up yesterday.
But I agree with the verbiage. Go ahead.
And what I did is I said, what do I have to gain by fighting John Bradshaw Layfield? Because I'm a tough guy. I'm a color man. I ain't no wheezy, cheesy play-by-play guy like Joey Styles. Like, who's the guy that just recently left WWE because he thought John was being a little rough on him? Armando Ernesto, what's his name?
No, Mauro, Ronaldo.
Oh, yeah, that guy. And yourself, Jimmy, used to be a play-by-play announcer. There's something about you play-by-play announcers, but I'm going to get into that in just a second.
I'm sure you are.
Because what did I have to prove? Because if I had whipped John's ass, and let's face it, Jimmy, you know me, I've never lost a fight in my life. Chances are pretty good I was going to whip Layfield's ass. And then Ron Simmons run in. He's got to protect his buddy. And then I whip Simmons' ass. And there they are, laying right in the middle of the locker room, stacked on top of each other with my foot on them, saying, you want to punk me out now, bitch? Huh? You want to punk me out now? What did I have to gain by that? I'd have got fired. Danny would have fired me. You would have.
Yes, I certainly
fired me. The WWE would have fired me because they wouldn't have wanted me on the shows anymore because I punked out their top tag team. I had nothing to gain by that. So I took the high road, Jimmy. I didn't whip Layfield's ass. I didn't whip Simmons' ass. I took the high road. I got their respect, and I want you to know that John Layfield was grilling steaks at my house a week later. John Layfield, you know what he did before he left OVW? He put his arm around me, and he looked at me, and he says, Kenny, you're going to be a big deal in this business one day. I can feel it. And there's one favor I want you to do for me. Don't bully people. No matter how big you get, no matter how big a star you become, whatever you do, don't bully people. And I looked at John right in the eye and I said, John, you got my word. I'll never do it because it ain't right. Because there's something about you little fucking play-by-play announcers that start shit. You're like little, you know, those little yappy dogs, those little ones that shake and shiver all the time, but they won't back down from a fight because they got Napoleon complex and they're always wanting to start shit with somebody. They're always wanting to fuck with somebody. And Jimmy, let's face it, you've been a bully my entire life. You have bullied me. You bullied me since the day you first met me. You would bully me. You'd want me to pitch in on the meals when we go out to dinner. You want me to pay for my half. When we'd go somewhere, you'd want me to pay for half of the gas, even though you lived a privileged lifestyle and were born with a silver spoon in your mouth.
Oh, for heaven's sake!
You'd come out to LaGrange and you would make me get up at 6 a.m. and walk to work on a cold day, some days in the 50s and 60s. You would make me walk to work, punk me out, even though you got beautiful transportation, that lovely Firebird you had.
I would have had to have driven 22 miles to take you 1.5 miles down the road.
I didn't mind. I didn't mind. It would have been very helpful to me. And what else were you doing? You were taking pictures of wrestlers and taking all their money. So I don't know how many wrestlers you bullied in the back, probably punking them out, probably taking their, because it's that little yappy dog syndrome, man. You don't know when to back down. And you did it to me. You bullied me your whole goddamn life. You know you did. And I know for a fact, Joey Styles is the biggest fucking bully of them all. You know what he did? And this is documented. John was having a little fun with him overseas at one of these shows they were doing. And instead of being a man like I did when I had a little confrontation with John, he hit him. He turned to violence. He sucker punched my buddy, John Layfield, hit him right in the mouth, knocked him out, for what I heard. Bullied him, punked him out. It was Styles that was the bully. Jimmy Cornette was the bully. And you can't tell me that Armando Ernesto is, what is his name again?
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Whatever his name is. I guarantee you he was punking and trying to punk my boy, John Layfield, out, and I won't stand for it.
Well, because it's
about you play-by-play announcement.
Would you let me get anything in on this? It's terrible. It's terrible when somebody pushes around a shy guy like Bradshaw, is what you're saying.
That's pretty much what I'm saying.
Or a shrinking violet such as yourself.
Well, you can take a look at me and know I can handle myself. I mean, he had to try.
I have a feeling you've handled yourself far more often than anybody else has handled you, but that's a different story for another time.
What are you trying to say?
So the point is, I think you're
bullying. It's you little fucks. You little fucks are causing all the trouble.
You're mischaracterizing the whole aspect of the bullying. Is that the bullying is usually done by
the bigger,
the larger, the more braggadocious, more outspoken, more loud-mouthed.
Not in wrestling. It's the other way around. It's you little shivery little terrier dogs who have that Napoleon complex. You'll go up against a Rottweiler and you'll fight to the death. Why? Because you're just trying to walk away with some type of dignity. And of course, those big Rottweilers, those big bulldogs, we don't want to have a reputation of putting guys like you out.
There's a lot of bull.
No, this is the only version of the truth you're going to get out of this, son. And you know it. And Jimmy, you always were the little guy when you palled around with me, except for when Adrian Reynolds was there. You were always the little guy, but you were always the one with the biggest mouth. You were always the one pushing people around, letting everybody know how much money you had, letting us all know that letting us know you could buy and sell us in a second's notice.
Oh, you're
always that way. And that's a form of bullying, Jimmy. I never called you out on it. Because you got to admit, in 212 fights, you never ever saw me get whipped, and you were in a lot of those.
200? Where do you get that number?
That was my record at Oldham County High. 212.
That's completely fictitious.
No, it's not fictitious. That's documented fact. I wrote it down. Takedown Bolin. You gave me the name. Takedown Bolin, because I took everybody down. Nobody ever emerged victorious from a fight with me, and you know it. I'm the exception to the rule when it comes to announcers, but I'm color. I'm the color guy. There's something about you play-by-play. I wonder if Ross was like that. Who was Ross bullying around? You know what? Ross was a bully. He bullied around talent. He handpicked his favorites. He wanted all the football players to make it. Hell, if you had a wrestling background, it's those football players that he was pushing, and he bullied everybody else. Even Jim Ross.
Jim Ross was
because everybody knows Jim Ross can't fucking whip nobody. But he bullied him. He bullied him in other ways. And
JR is not that is ridiculous.
You're telling me Jim Ross ain't a bully. He wouldn't.
That's exactly what I'm telling you.
He wouldn't even speak to me. You know why? Because I wasn't a college or pro football player. And he knew I would have
to you on many occasions.
And he knew I would have took Jerry Lawler's job if he'd called me up there. And for some reason, him and Lawler were real tight together. And
for heaven's sake, that is completely
I was the young guy. Ridiculous. I was the up and comer. Jerry should have stepped aside and gave me, and of course, Lawler stole my name. You know I was the king of kickball.
We're not gonna tell that story again about how you were the king of kickball in LaGrange.
15 years old. Lawler stole my gimmick.
No, he didn't.
Sure did. That's
not true.
Me and Lawler are going to have it out over that one day.
You're just an out liar.
A liar? Did you just call me a liar?
Yes.
You obviously haven't took a good look at my ring, have you?
I'm lying and prevaricating.
I'm a WWE Hall of Fame mentionee.
You are telling completely fictitious untruths made up out of whole cloth and pulled out of the cavernous crack of your ass.
I'm not capable of telling a lie.
Hey, Jim, can I ask a question?
I wish you would.
When you go into the Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame pretty soon down at Jerry Lawler's Bar and Grill in Memphis.
Thank you.
Do you plan on mentioning Star Maker Bolin?
You're going to mention me?
Apparently I have to. If I don't mention the most famous mentionee in Hall of Fame ceremony history, my speech will get over.
Do you maybe think I should be there?
No, not at all.
Why wouldn't you want me there?
Well, it would just be awkward if you were there.
You know what? That makes me think.
No,
because next year in New Orleans, you know what's happening, don't you, Jim? I've already announced it. You didn't read my Facebook post?
No, I'm not on Facebook, and I try not to read your Twitter. But
you should because I had some important information. Because I've basically stated it as fact, and I'm real sure this is going to happen. Me and you are going into the WWE Hall of Fame, not as mentionees, not as inductors. You and I, not the Midnight. I'm sorry, I think they got bumped. You and I, as two of the most influential men in wrestling and podcast in the history of the business. We are going, because I'm the billion download man after 11 years in this business. We're going into the Hall of Fame. Now, I don't know if they're putting me in as a broadcaster, as a manager. I mean, God knows I've accomplished plenty on both feats.
No,
and I think you're going to, I don't really know why they're putting you in, because all you ever managed was the Midnight.
Would you just stop it? No, they're not putting us in.
Yeah, no, they're putting us in. And I'm just sitting here thinking, who could we get to induct us? I mean, there's so many.
Nobody. There's nobody to get.
There's a long list of people. I mean, there's
shut up. I'm
not going to shut up because I think the people need to know this. People are going to buy tickets to this event
just
on
give
the knowledge.
Chance to get this out on this premise. The point is no, you're saying something that's not going to happen. It's not.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
I would refuse to be inducted if that was the case, but it's not going to be the case. It's not going to happen. You're just completely telling an untruth.
No, I'm telling you right now because I'm just trying to think of the long list of people that could induct me and you.
You don't have to think of anybody because you don't need that information. You're not.
No, the people need the information. Ticket sales are going to be based on this.
We don't have time for another bit.
We do have time. This is the people. This is lights out, man. You can stay or leave if you want because I'm going to tell you exactly how it's going to go down. I've got a long list of people that may want to induct us. Well, we may have to hold a lottery or raffle, much like
we're not going to listen to it. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks on behalf of Brian and myself for joining us on the experience. We'll be back next week with more.
No, there's no way you're wrapping this show up because I'm going to lay it out right here for the fans. Fans, just listen to me. Tell me. I want y'all, as a matter of fact, I want y'all to take a vote at the end of this and tell me who it is you want. And I'm pretty sure we can make it happen because the best thing that we could do would probably be have Jimmy. Well, I need to be main event. So I'll introduce Jimmy first. I will induct Jimmy because I really think that's really the only way that this can be done because who knows more about Jimmy Cornette than me. So what I'll do is I'll take the stage first, but we need somebody to introduce me. So that could, I don't want John Paul or Vinny doing it because there's a little heat there. So Lawler, we'll have Lawler introduce me. Lawler introduces me. Then I come out to the big pop, babies, fishnets, all that. Fishnets, that's kind of funny. And he'll introduce me. Then I'm going to go on and I'm going to tell everything great that Jimmy did. And shit, that's only going to be a couple of minutes. I'm going to have to get some filler, but I'll do my best to get Jimmy over, and I'm even going to make the crowd want him out there, and I'm going to induct Jimmy into the Hall of Fame. And God, but now it leads. Now what do we do? I got to have Jimmy introduce. Yeah, that's right. We'll have Jimmy introduce me. I'll be main event the way it's always been. Jimmy will come out and is going to list all my accomplishments. He's going to talk about all the greats that I put into the WWE. He's going to talk about the first man ever that I managed who made it to the WWE, Bull Buchanan. Hell, Bull might even want to induct us because he was the first. And then, obviously Mark Henry. Mark Henry's one of the huge names that I put in. And then, of course, we got to have an honorary, thing. We got to have some members of Sean O'Hare's family there. Cause I'm sure they're going to want to be involved. And then if John Cena's still there next year, and I think he might be, we'll have John Cena come up and say a few nice words about me. I'm sure he'll do it. We could get, who else really likes me up there? The Miz. We could have The Miz. Well, no, you don't like me that well. Maurice liked me. Maurice wanted to date me before she met The Miz, but I was, I was already dating Mickie James at that time. So that had to go. And then I had to break up with Maria Kanellis in order to start dating Mickie James. God, I've had a troubled past. But, we could get them involved and just everybody's life that I've touched and, maybe even have a big banner drop behind me. Kenny Bolin has his finger in the youth of America. Let's let the world know where my fingers have been and the people that I've helped. Let's do that. Maybe we could bring Jerry Lawler back out again because he just introduced me to introduce Jimmy. Now he's got to come out and say about how that he stole my gimmick from me. He stole the king thing from me when I was 14 years old, when I was the king of kickball. We could get Jerry Jarrett. Jerry, I'm sure he'll do it. Jerry said that what did Jerry say about me? He said something real nice about me once that Danny Davis disputed. Kenny Bolin is, God, it was something great about wrestling. I wish I could remember what it was, but we could get him involved. And then we could possibly get, well, now Nick Goulas is dead. We could get George Goulas, because that was the first company that I ever started working for. So we could get George Goulas out there to really talk it up. Nah, he's not much of a talker, so I don't know if that'd be a good idea. So let's not do that. Dennis Corlews' son. There's another life I've impacted. And Dennis Corlews' son, he loves me. He adores me. He hates Mike Bucci, and that's cool with me. A lot of people hate Mike Bucci because of the horrible things he said about me when he wished me dead on Christmas Day. So no, there's going to be no Bucci's in the building. They're going to be banned. We don't want them there ruining in a good thing. And God knows, he ain't never going to be in the fucking Hall of Fame. So I think y'all there? Jimmy, you surely got to agree with Jimmy. Shit, Brian, are you fucking me? Where did y'all go get something to drink? Jimmy Sprite run out? Oh, you gotta be son of a fucking fuck.